Mm.
So let me just guys, start, today's, validation part for multiple tables. Okay. So let me just, start for the multiple table validation. How can we, do that? Let's suppose source is, having multiple tables and target is having multiple, tables. And then what would be the approach to validate those kind of data? When source is, multiple tables and target is multiple tables, then what will be the, approach? So the high level approach, and then we will see the code level. Okay. So the high level approach is what? First, maintain a table mapping metadata. That means, how many tables are there, database and what is the table. Okay. And if there's a file, then what is the file? What is the type of the file? And then we will loop through the table, using for loop or dynamically. Okay. And then perform the, common validations. The validations can be row count validation, null validation, duplicate validation, data compare validation, all these validations. And then capture the result in guys, validation or report dot, or report data frame. So we will, capture the validation, whatever is coming in the form of a data frame. So this is my, approach. In case, let's suppose source is 500 tables and target is 500 tables or 100 tables, 50 table, 1000 table, any number of table. So the approach will be what? First, we'll maintain a mapping metadata. Then we will loop through these tables dynamically. Then we'll perform this kind of validations, and then we will, create a data frame for the result of the validation, whatever we will get. Yes or no, guys? So these are the 4 steps which we will, follow. So let us just, guys, see the approach wise, how can we do that? First is, guys, table metadata. So what we will do is that let's suppose this is a source table, whose the table is EMP. Okay. And target table is again, EMP only. And the primary key column is employee number and null check columns are employee number and employee name. So these 2 columns, I want to do the null check. Primary key column is this one. This is the source table, is target table. Similarly, there's a next is this is, let's suppose, consider it as table 1. Now I'm going to table 2. The table 2, again, there's a department table as source and target. And this is the primary key column. This is the null check columns. And all these are in the form of a dictionary. So let's suppose this is the key and this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. This is, one dictionary. And this is second dictionary. And entire metadata is in the form of a list. So any number of tables we can, add. We can, add up to 100 tables. Okay. So are you clear with this, meta data dynamics? How can we define the metadata of tables? Yes or no? Chitra, what do you think?
Yes, yes.
So this is called, table metadata. That means you will define the, source table, target table, key column, and null, check columns for table 1, then for table 2, up to 100 tables. So these are in the finally in the form of a list, but the values are in the form of a dictionary. This is dictionary 1, this is dictionary 2. Are you clear till this much, guys? Yes or no? Chitra, Mukesh, Prashant. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is first step. We'll create the table metadata. And after that, we'll do the validation. Let's suppose, row count check validation. This I have told, this is a method, a row count check where we are passing source data frame, target data frame. We are getting the count of source and target data frame. And this is your ternary operator. If source count equals to target count, then make this status as pass, else it is fail. And everything we are passing in a variable called as status, which is returning this method is returning the source count, target count, and the status. This is row count check. For the null count check, we have written a method and we are passing the data frame and the column. In null counts, we are, define it as empty. And then we are, putting a loop in the columns, whatever the columns are, we will pass here. And we are putting a filter for the column is null. If it is null, then you give me the count. Okay. And this is what is returning the null counts. Yes or no, guys? For duplicate check, we are passing the data frame and primary key column. And this is, guys, returning. We have written the duplicate query df.group by the primary key column dot count. And we are filtering, count should be greater than, 0, and that if there's a duplicate, we want this particular count. For data comparison, we are passing the source data frame, target data frame, and we are using source data frame except all target data frame count and target data frame except all source data frame count. And then guys, we are returning, source minus target and target minus source. This is, data comparison. So these are guys, the comparison methods, which I have told, many times. These are, reusable validation functions for count check, null check, duplicate check, and data comparison. Now, step number 3 is, we will loop through this, tables dynamically. So for that, we have defined a list, which is an empty list. Now for this empty list, what we'll do, we'll put a for loop for the table metadata. So whatever the table metadata we have defined here, on this one, this particular list, we'll put a for loop over there, guys. So this is what is the for loop. And then from this, dictionary, if I write table and the source table in this, bracket, so this will give the source table value. In the dictionary, if I, if you remember dictionary, if I take this as a, as a key, I will get this, value. Do you guys remember? If we take source in the, dictionary, we get the value. Yes or no? What do you think? This will give me the source table. Yes or no, Chitra? Do you
Yes,
remember?
yes,
Yeah,
key value, key value there.
yeah. So if I want the value, I can write the key in the bracket from the and the dictionary name. Yes or no? So we are traversing through this, list, and this is particular, table, and this particular table, I am getting the, if I am writing this, source table in the bracket, I'll get the value of the source table. Similarly, for the target table, key value, and null columns. Now this is a new thing, spark.table. So this is spark.table, and then here I'm passing this, source table and the target table. So I have defined here, is what is Spark dot, table. So this will, read and register Spark table from, Metastore and returns a PySpark, data frame. This is commenting, that's why I have, I'm not making in a highlighted color. I have made it in a yellow color so that, you can, understand these are comments. So what Spark dot table actually does is Spark dot table, and then in the bracket, we are writing database dot table name. So this will read a registered Spark table from the Metastore, whatever Metastore you have defined, and returns a PySpark data frame. So this will overall return a PySpark data frame. So Spark doc table can read Hive table, Delta table, external table, manage Spark table, and this will return, guys. This is equivalent to select Spark dot table. If I write this particular database and this particular table, it is equivalent to, SQL select star from this database and this table. So that is what is Spark.table. So this will, read all the data from the particular database and particular table. So that is why I in the form of a data frame. So that is what is Spark.tables. That is what I have written Spark.table. This is, source table and target table. This two I have, passed. And then, we are calling this, row count check, and we are passing this source data frame and target data frame. It will compare and will give the, result, source count, target count, and the status. Similarly, for null check, I am calling this null check method, passing the source data frame and null columns, null check, target column, target data frame, and, null columns. If there's, we have to check for, generally we check for the target data frame. Similarly, for duplicate, we are passing the target data frame and primary columns. And also, if I want to check in the source, for data compare, I'm calling this data compare and passing this source data frame and target data frame, and it will in turn return the source difference and target difference. Final status is again ternary operator. If count status is pass and source duplicate count is 0 and target duplicate count is 0, source difference is 0, target difference is 0. Make the status as, guys, pass, else make it as fail. So this is ternary operator. I have told if condition, if the condition is true, you can give the value. Here we are giving the value as pass. Else we can give a value if it is false condition. Now in this list which we defined as an empty list, value validation result, we are giving the source table, target table, source count, target count, source duplicate, target duplicate, source difference, target difference. And source null we are converting into string, target null we are converting into string, and the final overall status. And then a validation report data frame. So we are collecting the columns. Let's suppose source table, source count, source duplicate, target duplicate, source minus target minus source column, target columns, and status. So this is the columns we are defining for the values. And then we are creating a data frame for the validation result and the columns. And then we will get the result something like this. This is guys, when there's multiple, tables. Let's suppose there's multiple files. Then how can we do? The next approach is, when we have multiple files. So overall flow will be same, guys. Metadata, extract table names and rows, spark.table, data frame created, and pass the data frame to the validation function. So let me just, show you. So this is, complete metadata driven file to file validation. So what we will do is that we have created a Spark session, and this is the table metadata. So in the metadata, what I am doing is that I'm defining the source path, target path, file format, primary key, null check columns. Similarly, source path, target path, file format, primary key, and null check columns. So this is the, this is your source file and the target file. This is, let's suppose, file one, we want to validate. This is file two, we want to, validate. There can be 100 files. We can, make an entry. Then this is guys, reusable validation functions. Similarly, I told you, before also for count check. This is the reusable function for null check, duplicate check, and data comparison check. Now we will loop through this metadata and validate. So for we have defined a empty list, and we will loop through this metadata, and we'll try to extract the source path, target path, file format, key column, and null columns. And then what we'll do is that we will, create the data frames using spark.read.format, and whatever the file formats are there, we'll just, mention the, file format. Dot option header true and infer schema equals to true, and load this, source path. And then we will create the, target data frame. So similarly, we have created a source data frame. We'll create a target data frame. And then we'll call this, count validation method by passing the source and target data frame. Similarly, null check will pass, target data frame and null check. And then for duplicate also, we are passing source and target. And data comparison, we are passing the source and target data frame. And then final status, we are getting, like ternary operator. If, count status is pass and all these things are 0, then we'll give a value as pass, else we'll give a value as fail. We'll collect the result in this, list. We want to append, the source path, target path, source count, source duplicate, target duplicate, source difference, target difference, source null, target null, and final status. Then we will create a validation report for the data frame. So for that, we have defined some, columns which should be exact match with the, with this, validation result. And then what we are doing is that we are creating a data frame to see the our, expected result, and that is what we are, displaying. So this is the code, guys, in case there are multiple, tables or multiple files. Let's suppose, here, we have, two, I have taken, two conditions, guys, here I have taken, let's suppose this is a data frame, which is for the, CSV file. This is data frame two. So here, let us just, focus from here. If you see, guys, from here, this is the actual code, what we are, doing. Okay, let me just, let's just not, focus more on this one. Okay, so what we are doing here is that we are, initialize the Spark session. We are defining the target, metadata. So metadata, we have defined, the source path, target path, file format, primary key, and null check columns. Let me just, show you like this. This is my, source path, target path, and file format, and primary key, and null check column. This is, metadata for file one. This is metadata for file two. This for EMP table is the source. EMP target is the, target for this particular file. Here department is the source and department target is for this particular file. Now we have, defining the methods. Let's suppose, row count check, and then null check, duplicate check, data compare check. And for the validation result, we have defined an empty, list. And then we are, looping through this particular metadata. So metadata is nothing but here, this is the metadata. So first it will, loop for this particular source and target, then it will loop for this particular source and target. That will loop on the metadata and we'll get the source path, target path, file format, primary key column, and null check column. Now we'll create the data frame. So creating the data frame is very easy. Spark.read.format, whatever the file format we want to give, and option header true and option infer infer schema true, and then load this source path. Similarly, guys, target creating target data frame. Now, what will happen is that we'll call this method, we'll pass the source and target data frame and get the source count, target count, and current status. Similarly for null check, similarly for duplicate and data comparison. Final status, if source count, if the count status, the final count status is pass, and source duplicate value, result is zero, target, duplicate zero, source difference zero, target difference is zero, then give the value as pass, else give the value as fail. And then what will happen is that validation result, what is the empty, list is there, append it with, source path, target path, source count, source duplicate, source difference, target difference, source null, target null, and final status. And similarly, we have defined the columns and we are creating a data frame. And in this data frame, we are passing the validation results and columns. And that is what we are seeing. So let me just, execute this one. So it got, guys, executed. So if you see, you are getting what the output. The output is what, guys, for the first, file validation, the second file validation. So for first file validation, let us just see the source, path. So this is the source path for the first file validation. This is, the source path. If you see this, still here it is, EMP file path, and this is EMP target file. And what is the, source count and target count? 14 and 14. And then what is the source duplicates? Is zero, target duplicate zero, source minus target zero, target minus source zero, null for employee number is zero, employee name is zero, and employee number for source is zero, and employee name for the target is also zero. Overall status is pass for the first file. For the second file, this is the path of the department file. This is for the path of the department target file. This is the count of the source, which is 4. This is the count of the target, which is 4. All the duplicates are, 0 for source and target. For the, validation of for nulls, we are getting department number 0, name is 0 for source, and similarly for target, overall status is pass. So are you able to see, guys, multiple file on multiple table? Are we able to validate? Yes or no? So any number of tables or any number of files we can validate using this technique. First, define the table metadata, where you will give the source path, target path, file format, primary key, null check column for file 1. Similarly for file 2, file 3, file 4, 100 file. Just define the table meta structure meta. Then define the validation methods, row count check, data check, duplicate check, whatever the methods are there. Then define a empty list and then go through this loop for the metadatas. And then from the once you go through this table metadatas, try to get the source path, target path, file formats, key column, and null columns. After getting all these things, create the source data frame and target data frame. After creating source and target data frame, then you call these methods and get the status, the return status. Once you get the return status, then you get the final status. And once you get, the final status, then what you do is that you collect it, the empty list, you append it with the final status and all this, parameters, and you have a, column define a column like this, create a data frame to show the output. Yes or no, guys? Are you getting some idea? What if multiple tables and multiple files are there? So what is the way we will, proceed? Yes or no, guys? Are you getting some idea, guys? What is the, approach? First, we'll go what? We'll maintain the table mapping metadata, and then we will loop through, guys, tables dynamically, and then perform the, common validations, and then capture the result in validation report data frame. Are you clear with these 4 steps? Yes or no? What about Chitra? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yes or no?
Good,
Mukesh,
good.
did
Yes,
you
sir.
understand?
Yes, sir.
So for multiple tables or multiple files, what is the first approach you have to do?
We need to define the metadata for all the tables.
And then
Then we'll do the validations. And we
then we
Third
will
do
table.
loop.
all the table and iterate through all the.
The first you will, define the metadata is done. Then what is the next thing? Metadata you have defined. Then what is the next thing? You will loop. Yes or no? Loop through all this, metadata. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And then, perform the common validations, all these validations, and then you will capture the result in data frame. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
First, you have to define, guys, what? Table mapping, then loop through this, table mapping, then do the validations, and then capture the result in data frame. That is what, by the execution also I have showed you. First, what we did, tell me here, what is the first step we are doing?
And
First, we are
define.
defining the table metadata or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Here we can define 100 table also, no issue.
100 table, 1000 table. Okay, you
Uh,
can define for table or file. You can define. Yes or no?
yes, sir.
Once metadata means what? Data of data. That means what is the source path, what is the target path, what is the file format, what is the primary key columns, what is null check column. That is called as metadata. What is the table name? Yes or no? Source table. This is file to multiple files I am showing. For multiple tables, we will write all the tables. What is the source table, what target table, what is the primary key, what is the null check columns. So first step is what? You have to define a table metadata in the form of a what? In the form of a list. This is in the form of a list. Are you able to see? And this metadata we are defining in the form of a what? Dictionary, yes or no? This is, let's suppose file 1. This is what? File 2, yes or no? And file 1, we are giving a comma for the file 2, yes or no, guys? Now, after all these things, what we will do? Table metadata is defined. Then we have defined, guys, the methods, the common methods, whatever is used, and then the most important, you will loop through this table metadata, and then you will define a validation result as empty list, which we will use later. So first you loop through this table metadata, and once you loop through this table metadata, what will happen? You will first go to which one? You'll go to first this one, this list, yes or no? Then you will go to this particular file. So when you go to this particular file is in the form of a list. So if it is in the form of a list, what we'll do? If we write the bracket, the key, we'll get the value of the source path, target path, file format, primary key, and null check for file 1. Similarly, we'll get for file 2. Yes or no, Mukesh? For
Hmm.
file 3, file 4, file 5, every source path and target path, can we get it? Yes or no? One by
Yes.
one. And once we get it, what we'll do, Mukesh? We'll create the source data frame where we will pass the file format and the source path. Similarly, we'll create the target data frame where we'll pass the file format and the target path. Yes or no? Once we have created source and target data frame, then we'll call these methods. We'll pass the source data frame and target data frame. Similarly, null duplicate data compare, and then we'll get the final result. And then we will collect this result in the form of a list. And then we will have a, the particular columns. To get the outputs, we are creating a, data frame where we are passing the validation results and the column. And we are seeing the whatever the validation report, data frame is there. We are putting this show. Are you getting some understanding, guys, now? Yes or no? Yes or no, Mukesh? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So for tables, also we have the same code. What is here, Mukesh? What is the first thing? This is the table metadata. Yes or no?
Yes,
So
sir.
here this is a source, database and the EMP and target database, and the table we have taken is same name. And similarly, this primary key columns and the null checks for table 1. Similarly for table 2, there can be 100 tables. Reusable validation function. These are the reusable validation functions. And then after that, what we'll do? After that, we'll call these methods by passing the data frames, and then we'll get the final status, and then we'll append the empty list with whatever the status we have got, and we'll have a column, and we'll see the result in the form of a data frame. Are you getting some idea, Mukesh, now? Yes or no, Chitra? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Sir, here you have written the dynamic table. So And as you said, if 100 table is there, we can validate through 100 table. But how the machine is come to know like
Because
the
it is,
one
looping through here. How many files were there, Mukesh, in this, how many files are there?
two are there here. Here the
So
two.
if I write 10 files, then what will happen? It is dynamically going to the loop, right? This is very important, this line. For
Mhm.
table in table meta data. That means what will happen? First, do you remember loop? First, it will go
Yes.
to this file. Similarly,
Correct.
it will go to table one. It
Yes,
will,
sir.
use that, get the values from table one or file one. Then it will go to file two and extract the values from file two or table two. Similarly, table three, table four, table five, 100 table. One by one, it will, loop and will get the values.
Yes, sir.
Are you understanding, Mukesh? Yes or no? This line. Yes or no?
Hmm.
So this is, guys, the, looping through, validation of multiple tables or multiple files, be it be 1000, tables. Just define the metadata, and then define the, reusable functions, and then, put a loop through this, metadata, extract the values, and then create the data frames in case this is a file. And then, guys, call this methods, get the result, and display the result in the form of a data frame. Yes or no, guys? Now, after this, I want to, show you some, transformations and the validations. So we'll go, guys, one by one for the validation part. And so let me just, start. So first validation for any data frame or table is what, guys? Structure validation. Yes or no? Yes. Let's suppose I want to do the structure validation. So what I will do? Let's suppose this is, data frame one. This is, data frame two. And if I want to do the structure validation, how can I do? I will take this, method, and where I'm passing, data frame one and data frame two, and data frame one dot schema. This will give, the schema for data frame one, and this will give the schema for data frame two. And if the schemas are matching, it will be passed, else it will be fail, and we'll call this method by passing this data frame one and data frame two. Any doubt, guys, for this one? Structure validation. Yeah, Mukesh, any doubt for structure validation?
Relation is structure.
Tell me, let's suppose, I want to validate the, structure.
Dot.
Structure validation. So what is the way? Tell me. Chitra, did you understood structure validation?
I think first we will read the data frame, create the data frame
Hmm.
from the file,
Hmm.
then create it as a file, emp and then emp, and
After,
then we
yeah.
use the schema. Yeah. After that, we will use the schema to get the schema for both the tables.
And then
For
we are
both the
comparing it. And then we are comparing it. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And then we are calling this method by passing data frame one and data frame two. Yes or no? Let's suppose this is data frame one as the source and
Yes.
data frame two as the target. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so df1 dot schema that you have mentioned, right? df1 and df2 dot schema. So that's a built-in method, or
No, the df1, let's suppose, df1 dot count. So this is a, it is a built-in, method. Yes or no? I can write,
yes.
count. Similarly, I have written in a schema. Are you able to see?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's what I want.
So you'll get the schemas and you will validate. Yes or no? This is schema validation. Once you have validated the schema, what is the next validation you do? Chitra? We'll do
After
the
schema, we will do data validation,
count validation. Yes or no?
count
Count.
validation.
So let's suppose, this is a, a source data frame, spark.read format, and load this path of the source. Let me just write this like this, somewhat, source path, and this is the target path. You have this two, data frames. Now you want to compare the count. So what you will do? Source.count, target.count. This will give the count of source and target. And if these counts are matching, it will be pass, else status is fail, and then we can print this source and target, status and the counts. Are you clear with this code? Many times I have told you. Yes or
The
no?
count validation, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think many times you have gone through the
Yes.
count
Let's
validation.
suppose, okay, you have gone through many times. Let's suppose I want, in the form of using, Spark SQL, or let's suppose I want in the form of a method, in the form of a method, then what we'll do? We'll create a method and we'll pass the source and target, and then we can get the source and count, target and count, and then we can compare and we can, return this status source and target, and we can, call this particular method and we can pass this, source data frame and target data frame, and we can get the status source count and target count, which we are printing. This is also fine for you. What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Yes, using a method, yeah.
Yes or no? This was, first I showed you a plain code. Yes or no? Now I am using, someone tells you, okay, source is a file, target is a file, compare. So what you will tell? Or let's suppose source is a, file, target is a, a database. What you will do? First, you create the data frames using, if it is a file, what we will do is spark.read.format, load and this path. And if this target is a database, what will be the change? If target is a database, what do you think, Chitra? What will be, change? Yeah.
Yeah. And then use those after creating the data frames, and use those
No,
data frames.
hold on, guys. When target is a a database, so how to create the data frame? What is the rule?
Okay, so we will have to use the the connection.
Spark.read.format, and what is the format we will pass? JDBC. Do you remember that?
Driver.
Java database connections. Guys,
Yeah.
Java database connectivity. This you have to remember, guys. Option, you will pass the username. Option, you will give the what? The password. And then, guys, just load, dot load. So this is how we, in case, the target is a database. Do you remember this one? And once the data frames are created, then this is a simple method. We are passing the source and target. We are getting the source count, target count, and we are comparing the source and target. In case it is matching, it's pass. In case it is failing, it is fail. And this is what is that, returned. What is it returning? So returning the, status, source count, target count, which we are, printing. Are you clear till this much? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, guys, using Spark SQL. Do you know Spark SQL? One, I will tell you, one more way to compare the count using Spark SQL. Have you heard about that?
Yes. We'll have to create views first.
For source and target. Do you remember that? Let's suppose I have created a, source and target data frame. Now what I have to do? I have to create a, view. How to create a view? Do you remember? Data for source data frame dot create or replace temp view, and you can give any name. Let's suppose I have given source view and target view. And once you have created the view, this is very, important step, registering as a view. So once, register as a view using create or replace temp view, then what you do? You use spark.sql and then you write here SQL query. What is the SQL query? Select count star as, source count from source view, and similarly select count star from target count or from target view, spark.sql. This is the source count data frame, target count data frame. And then after extracting, after writing the separate SQL queries for row counts, we have to, extract the values. To extract the value, we use something called as collect. And in that, 00 also you can write, or you can write 0 and this particular, source count, whatever the alias name I have given. This will give me the source count and the target count. And once we get the source and target count, compare it. In case it is, passing, print it, in case it is matching, it will be pass, else it will be fail. Okay, so this is, guys, using, Spark SQL. So these are, guys, techniques to validate the count. And once we validate the count, what is the next thing? Can you tell me? Data compare. Yes.
Data validation.
So data compare, what will happen? Source accept all target. And do you remember? And target accept all source. Do you guys remember? Yes or no? Source
Yes.
data frame accept all target, and then with column we'll add a column, let's suppose data from and lit source, the constant value source, and similarly for target. And we can put a union between source minus target and union target minus source, and we can see the values. This is one way, guys, and then another way, guys, let's suppose, this is, one way, and what can be the other way, guys, to do that? Using Spark SQL, how can we do that? Using Spark SQL, how can we do that? We'll create a, yeah, tell me. We'll create the views, then what we'll do?
And then we will run the select queries on the
The SQL query in the triple quotes.
In the triple quotes, we have written, guys, on a SQL query, select, star, comma, we have given an, source as, data from, we are giving an alias name as, data from, and from the source view and select, you can write select star from source view also, and select, source. I'm just giving this name, similar so that we can, validate as data from the target view. You can write select star from source view, except all, select star from target view. And then what will happen, guys? Union all, select, target as, data frame from, target view, except all, this is source minus target. You can understand like this, and this is target minus source. And we have put a union all between them. Yes or no, guys? Now, after that, you can just spark.sql, whatever values you are getting, mismatch.sql, you can put it here and you can just see that. So this is using spark.sql. So all the ways I'm telling, guys, count comparison, data comparison. Next is duplicate check. So to our duplicate check, what we are doing, guys? Do you remember how we check duplicates? Can you tell me?
Count is greater than one duplicate.
First, we'll group it based on the particular column, df dot column, and then we'll take the count and filter what count is greater than one. Do you remember this? And we can see that. Do you remember this query? Yes or no? To check the duplicate?
Yes, we use the group by
Hmm.
and then we count.
And then df dot whatever the columns we want to pass and count, and then filter count is greater than one. Yes or no? And we want to see that, we can see it. So let's suppose, this is, guys, duplicate. We have, already seen many times. Let's suppose, guys, I want to see the nulls. How can I see the nulls? Can you tell me? So how
Yeah,
can we check the nulls?
count.
Using which function? Is null. Do you remember is null function?
Yeah,
And for duplicates, if I want using Spark SQL, how can I do? Let's suppose I have created a, a temp view. So how can we do that? What I am writing? What is the query? This one? Can you tell me?
so
Count.
we are using the SQL query,
Hmm.
taking the count, and then the not null column, right? So we are
No. For duplicate, I am telling. No, leave out null. We'll discuss later. For duplicate, if I want to do using Spark SQL, how can I do? We will
yeah,
create
so
a temporary view. Yes or no? After that,
yeah,
we are writing the SQL query. For let's suppose I want to check for ID and name. Select ID comma name count star from temp view group by ID name having count star greater than one. So this is the SQL query, and then I will use it spark.sql. We'll pass this SQL query, and these are the duplicate data frame which we will see. Yes or no? Using Spark SQL also we can find the duplicate. Using PySpark also we can find the duplicate. Now I will talk about, guys, the null check. Okay, what we are discussing. So null check, in SQL, what we'll do is that finding nulls. What we'll do is that so there are a lot of ways to check the null. So before I go to this PySpark thing, let me just do it using using the PySpark before I go to Spark SQL. So what we are doing, guys, we are just let's suppose I want to check a null for a particular column age. So what is the code we have written? df.filter column this particular age is null. If it is null, just show it. Yes or no, guys? Any doubt here? What do you think, Chitra? Are you recognizing this query? Many times I have told before also. Yes or no? Yes or no, Chitra? Mukesh,
Yes, sir.
are you there, Chitra? Are you understanding this null validation? We are
So,
filtering this column and we are checking that is there any null value or not. Yes or no?
yes.
Similarly, if there's multiple column, we can use it. For age is null or the name is null, and then we can put a or operator here, and we can just see that. Now using Spark SQL, we'll register as a particular view, and then we'll write select star from the table where let's suppose age column is null, and we'll use, guys, spark dot SQL, and whatever this null is age, and we want to see it, so we have written a show method. This is null check. Any doubt in this code? What about Chitra, Mukesh? What do you think? Mukesh, Prashant, are you clear with this code? Dinesh? Yeah, Chitra, are you clear? Mukesh?
Mm,
Yes, yes, clear.
Collecting, sir.
Yeah, go through this, code. Let me know if you have, any doubt. What about Prashant? Dinesh? Prashant, are you understanding this code?
Yes, sir. That's fine.
So what we are doing, we are registering as a temporary view, whatever the data frame we have. Yes or no? And then we are
Yeah.
using spark.sql and write this, SQL code. And then we are just seeing it. So we are writing this show method. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? So
So,
this is, guys, null check. And then we can have, guys, some data quality checks. Okay. So let me just, show you guys some data quality checks also.
data 24th page.
Yeah. So data quality check, guys, let's suppose data format, if I want to, check. So let's suppose the format should be YYYYMMDD. So for that, I have written some, methods. Let's suppose date format check, and we are passing the data frame and the column name and the date format for which we want to, what is the specific format we want to check. This is returning, filter. This particular the column name is, not null. First of all, the column should not have any null value. And then, this particular toDate function will tell this column, this column to be a particular, specific date format. And then if it is not in that particular specific date format, it will return is that, guys, as a null. That is what is the, code, and that is what is the logic between them. So here, let's suppose I call this method and I pass a data frame and a column called as order date. And the specific format, should be YYYYMM and DD. So if I find, give this, first of all, it will check for that particular order date. It should not be, is not null. It should not have any null values. And then this particular order date, it will check for that particular, format. Is it in this particular format? Then if it is not in this format, if it is, in this format, guys, it will not give, any error, and it will, execute. But in case, if it is not in this format, then what will happen is that it will give the null value. It will return it as a null value, is null. Okay, that means, this toDate will, work here, and this will, check if this particular specific format is there or not. If it is not there, it will return the null value. This is, guys, particular value. Let's suppose this one record was there where this it was not in that particular format. So for that, it has returned, guys, null. So this is the way, it will, work. Okay, for, for the date formats. And let's suppose I want to do one more, data for, data quality, check. Let's suppose I have, I want to check the, length greater than or the expected. So I'm doing this filter, column, length should be greater than 10. This is for the greater one, and for less than, I have written this filter as, less than, 10. This is one again. And let's suppose, we want to check that there should not be any junk value. So for first we'll check for non-null value, and then we'll use a cast method, that in case there's a junk value, just return it as null. So a junk, numeric check, we are passing the data frame and the column name. And we are checking the, first of all, the column is not null, and the column cast, double is null. That means in the column should be, casting it as a, numeric value. That is nothing but the double. And if it is not, a numeric value, just, return it as a null. So these are, guys, the some of the, data quality test with what we have, written. You can, guys, practice this three, data quality check, and let me know if you face any, issues for date format and junk value and the maximum length. So this is, guys, DQT check, data quality check.
Does a data quality test check only happening for date format or some other also?
Date formats, maximum, minimum length, some
Okay.
particular values. So this is, very basic check. If
Okay.
you remember ETL testing, first check, in the staging area, if you remember, we told that we do something called as data quality check, like, date range, rounding of the data, junk values. If a column is defined as number, it should not have any, special character, junk values. So those kind of checks we will do. That is called as data quality check.
Okay, sir. Got it.
So this is guys, all this, sheets are written, you take it, execute it, try to, understand the code and let me know if you face any issues. This is guys, transformation level 1. And tomorrow, guys, I don't want to, start so many, transformations today only. The last transformation, which we will, take for some transformation level 2, where we will see this is what is an aggregate transformation, and then how to, write the SQLs for, validation of codes in SQL and PySpark. So this level 2 validation, which is the last topic I will take it, guys, tomorrow. So this
Sir,
validations, yeah, Mukesh.
can you provide this sheets, sir? Because we
Yeah,
don't.
I'll share in the WhatsApp. Okay, don't worry. I'll share this in the WhatsApp. Okay. So this is, guys, level 1 validation. There's a basic validation, count, data, duplicate, and null and all. So this basic validation, I'll share it. And then level 2, guys, I'll tell, tomorrow. And then there's some, miscellaneous topics, guys, which we can, discuss. Let's suppose, guys, I want to, discuss one particular, miscellaneous topic with you, which is just give me 1 second. Let me just, see I have, that particular topic. Oh, yeah. So guys, this is something called as medallion architecture. Okay, medallion architecture. So it's a, layered data architecture used in data lake house solutions. So this is actually, if your ETL architecture. So what happens in ETL architecture? If you remember what is happening, can you tell me, guys? First is what layer? Do you remember what is the first layer? Source layer, then staging layer, data warehouse, data mart, and finally, guys, it is what? BI report. Do you
Yeah.
remember these things? Yes or no?
Mhm.
First is what, guys? Data is coming from source.
So
From source, it goes to which layer?
Staging,
Staging layer. From staging, it goes to which layer?
data mart.
data,
Data warehouse. Yes or no? From
Okay.
data warehouse, it goes to which layer?
Data mart.
Data mart, which is a subset of data warehouse. Yes or no, guys? Then
BI
it goes to what? Final
report.
layer, presentation layer, also called as BI report. Yes or no, guys?
Mhm.
So this is in our traditional, guys, ETL, but in when we learn data lake, there's something called as medallion architecture. Source is source only, but the staging layer is, somewhat, if I want to, replicate this name, so I will call it as, guys, bronze layer. What will I call it as? Name I will give it as bronze layer. Yes or no, guys? After bronze layer, the next layer is, data warehouse, somewhat I will call it as what, guys? Silver layer. What will I call it as? Silver layer.
So see, the bronze layer is source and staging both combined called bronze layer or only
No,
source
no, 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 Mukesh. This is,
confused.
source. Forget about source.
Yes, sir.
Now, from the source, data is going to what? Staging, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So from the source, data is going to which layer? Bronze layer. So bronze layer is somewhat like staging layer, yes or no, Mukesh?
Okay, got it, sir. Okay, okay.
And data warehouse is somewhat like which layer?
Silver layer.
Silver layer, yes or no, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this data mart is somewhat like gold layer. It's like
Okay.
what, guys? Gold layer. Yes or no? So this
Uh,
is what, guys, medallion architecture, where there's something called as bronze, silver, and gold layer. So the data are coming from the source and going into bronze layer, where minimal testing is done. Okay, like DQT check, data quality, and all is checked there. In the silver layer, actual transformations and all is done. And in data mart, is a subset of data warehouse where aggregated values are there. So that is nothing but a data mart. And from data mart, the data finally goes to which layer, guys? To the BI
BI.
report. Yes, okay. So we do the testing, if you remember, ETL testing from source to data warehouse. And actually, we were testing, guys, source to data warehouse, or actually we are testing source to data mart, but we tell we are testing what, guys? Source to data warehouse. So let's suppose there are different data marts, data mart 1, data mart 2, data mart 3. So we are just testing. Let's suppose this is data mart 1, data mart 2, data mart 3. Yes or no, guys? So we are testing these things, and then after this, testing, let's suppose I test this data mart 1, data mart 2, data mart 3. So we tell at the time of telling, we tell what? We check the data from source to data warehouse, which is, subset is nothing but a data marts. Well, let's suppose we check this, data mart 1, data mart 2, data mart 3. And after doing all this testing, what we'll do, we'll check this, data mart values to the BI report. So this portion is called as BI report testing. And from source to, this data warehouse testing is called as ETL testing. Yes or no, guys? Do you remember these things? In ETL manual testing, we have, covered these things. Similarly, here we are, testing the data from source to, bronze layer. We will do, basic data quality check. In the silver layer, we will do the, actual transformation check. And in, in the gold layer, the aggregated values are there. So we will, check those, aggregated values. So now let me just, guys, show you, tell you, this is bronze layer, stores raw ingested data from source system. And this is silver layer, clean filter, join and standardized data. Data quality checks applies useful for analysis or downstream enrichment. Gold layer data having the aggregated and summarized data. And this is, guys, medallion architecture. Always you have to explain the medallion architecture whenever,
Sir, Mendelian architecture basically used in data lake house. So it is in this terminology is used in Azure or it is used in particular
it
means.
is used in Azure Data Lake. Different folders are there. You remember I created, data lake.
Yes.
Do you remember, Mukesh? Yes or no?
Okay. Okay. Got it, sir. The
So
terminology is
in yeah,
Azure.
so in data lake, the developers will be creating a lot of folders. One folder is, let's suppose, bronze. One folder is, let's suppose, silver. One folder is, let's suppose, gold. So in the bronze layer, what will happen, Mukesh? In the bronze layer, the exact data copies are kept in the bronze layer. Okay, if you remember, this storage account. In this storage account, we have created like this. So what will happen is that here we will create a. Let's suppose you want to create a storage account name. Let's suppose you have created a bronze layer.
Okay.
So this is done by the developer. You don't create. Okay, bronze layer name is already there. So I'm just writing 28 01. So this is for present, actually name will be bronze layer, but it was already taken. So I'm writing bronze layer new. Yes or no, Mukesh?
Yes,
So
sir.
this is a layer created, in the data lake. This is a bronze layer. Yes or no? This will be created. And once this is, created, you will get a silver layer. Okay. What is the error? So we are not having this, permission. Let me just, go here and let us get the guys, you can just,
Got
create
it,
the
sir.
folder.
Got it.
You,
Yes.
you understood, no, what I'm
Yes,
telling?
yes, I understood. The
Yeah. So
terminology is used in Microsoft Azure. That I
yes,
understood.
yes. Microsoft
That's
Azure in
fine.
the storage account, you can create the
Yes, sir.
bronze layer, you can create the silver layer, you can create the gold layer, but you will not create anything. Will we create this bronze layer, guys? No, we will not
Developer.
create. Who will create this?
Developer, sir.
This bronze layer, let's suppose it's for testing. This will be created by whom, guys? This will be created by the developers. Yes or no? But what is our job? Tell me. What is our job, guys? Our job is to validate the data. Yes or no? So
Yes,
in the
sir.
bronze layer, what we will, validate? In the bronze layer, we will do the data quality test. Yes or no? Are you understanding, Mukesh? In the bronze layer, what we'll do? We'll do the data quality test. Yes or no? This is, guys, bronze layer, and then similarly there is something called as what, Mukesh? Silver layer. So there only we will create, guys, what? Silver layer, where all the transformations are done, and gold layer will have only the aggregated value. It's a subpart of, guys, subpart of silver layer. So we will do the, guys, testing. I told you, you can validate from source to data warehouse, or you can just validate the source to data mart, and then you can validate data mart 1, data mart 2, data mart 3. Also you can validate the data from source to silver, and then you can validate the data, guys, from source to gold. Yes or no, guys? So this is ETL testing, and then from ETL testing, if from the gold layer, if you check the data in the BI reports, that is called as BI report testing. Are you getting some understanding, guys? Yes or no? This is, guys, medallion architecture. Are you understanding, guys? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting some understanding, guys, how to create this medallion architecture? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, after this, Medallion architecture, they will ask, in the project, what you did in, what do you know about Medallion architecture and what are the testings we do? So the actual, data quality test we are doing in bronze layer, the transformations we are checking in the silver layer, and the aggregated values we are checking in the gold layer. This is, guys, one notes for Medallion architecture. Let me just, to go through some other, notes. So, So guys, what are the kinds of application? There is something called as software as a service. So this is, guys, like your Gmail, Microsoft. This is a, this is a, complete, software solution, managed by the provider, whoever is providing. Let's suppose Gmail is provided by Google. So they are, completely managing the, server as well as UI and the client, everything is managed by the, by the Google. So that is called as software as a service, platform as a service. Let's suppose Azure is a platform as a service. Yes or no, guys? So what will happen? Platform for building and deploying the application. So they will have the, their own, this they will manage the server, storage, and networking, OS, and runtime. Yes or no, guys? So you
Yes.
can only manage the code and the data. Yes or no, guys? So that is called as platform as a service. What we are managing? Only the code and the data, but who is managing the server, storage, networking, and OS and runtime? This is provided managed by whom?
That
Azure. Let's
company.
let's suppose Azure, platform we are using. So these things are managed by the Azure, the person who is providing this, access. Yes or no, guys? That is
Yes.
called as platform as a service. Three kinds of applications are there. Sometimes they ask in the interview. That's why I'm, dealing with this. Last is, infrastructure as a service, IaaS. So this is something called infrastructure as a service is like, the virtual machines. Have you used any virtual machine in your life? Yes or no,
Yes,
guys?
sir. We're
Yes,
using
so
in
so
office.
yeah, you're using VM machines where you can, open your own, operating system and browser. Let's suppose Microsoft Azure VMs you can use, Google Compute Engine you can use, AWS EC2 you can use, or you can use your own, virtual machines, which can be, guys, used for your, for you opening your own, operating system or browsers. That is called as infrastructure as a service, IaaS. So these are three kinds of application. These are the validations. And this is level one, guys, validation. And tomorrow I will, discuss, guys, level two validation. One interview they have asked what is tear down in PyTest. So what is tear down? Anyone knows?
Yeah, in picture, we have two parts. One is um, when we call the picture in another method, then it should run that test before the actual test starts. And then within that, there is the before finishing the test, the remaining part of the code should be executed. I think you have showed in the picture, right?
Yeah,
I
so
think
tear
there's
down
one.
is nothing. Instead of return, if I use yield, no. So why I was using yield? Do you remember this? So that, any, disconnection to the database or, closing any servers, those things we can do after using yield. If I write return, I
You will
cannot
not
write a
do.
code here. Yes or no,
Yes.
guys? So this code is called as tear down in PyTest. So in PyTest, tear down returns to refers to what, guys? Cleanup code. This is called as what, guys? Cleanup code. Why it is called cleanup code? Because that will run after a test or a test session or a class or module, to release the resources like closing the database connection, stopping the server, deleting the temporary files. So this is called as cleanup code. Okay. And that will, run after a test. Okay. After a test has been executed, then this cleanup code will, run. And how to implement this, tear down instead of return, what we are using? Yield. Do you remember? I have used yield to stop this spark. Do you remember that, guys? Yes or no? In the framework? Yes or no?
Sometimes, sir, in other Python, we use print also. After all the things happen, last print. That
Yeah,
will
so
also.
this is tear down code, this is,
Yes.
connecting, so after yield, whatever codes you are writing, that is nothing but tear down code. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So tear down code is achieved using no after the your test is run. If you want to clean up the code like closing the server or disconnecting from a database, stopping the server, deleting temporary files that are called as what tear down code. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This is important questions which are theoretically asked in the interview. So I wanted to, discuss, this kind of questions to you. So I have created a notes, okay, for this, let's suppose what is the difference between, data lake and a data warehouse. So data lake is what, guys? It stores raw data, both structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. Data warehouse only structured and processed data for DI report. So this contains structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. This mainly consists, mostly structured data. Okay, any file format we can use, but here only tables. So this is the most, important, guys. This can have structured and unstructured. Here mostly, structured and table data are there. And schema on read, here what will happen is, we have to, we will apply when the data is read. You keep the file and based on that, the schema is read. But here is schema on write. This is, before data is loaded, we create a table. So we define that schema before, but here, based on the file, the schema is coming. So this is, guys, schema on read is schema on write is more expensive. This is, cheaper. Yes or no, guys? So this is, slower for querying raw data, faster for analytics. So this is used in data science and machine learning. This is used in BI, dashboards. And here, these are the things which are using, guys, this particular, data warehouse. These are the things, let's suppose Azure data lake storage. These things are using data lake. And this is, guys, these are the differences between data lake and data warehouse. This is our particular, notes for data lake and data warehouse. So this kind of notes are there, guys, which I will be, sharing you. Tomorrow, I will take the last lecture, guys, validation part 2. And this is very important. And then, we will, proceed with the closure of this particular, session. And then after this, we will have, guys, after this, we will have